Hello and welcome to Coffee Lovers TV. Joseph here. On the show today, we're going to be enjoying some very fine coffee from Tim Wendelboe. Longtime readers of the magazine will recall that in the early couple years of the magazine, we had a lot of stories from Tim Wendelboe, and I also did an issue interviewing Tim, telling his whole story. What I'm actually going to do is, below this video, I'm just going to give away that issue with Tim's interview. You don't even need the app. I'm going to set it up separately, so you can click the link below the video and check out the issue. Now, Tim Wendelboe is very well known for his direct work with farms. Starting several years ago, he started working directly investing in the farms that he was working with. You know, it's not like there weren't people before Tim who were working on improving quality of the farm, but he really brought that conversation to the front. He was very much about the transparency of what the farmers he worked with were paid, and he spent a lot of time and money and effort investing in improving the quality of production at the farm. He was one of the first people to really do this publicly and push that, and kind of made a name for himself in that way. But more so to the point, is made a name for Tim Wendelboe coffee in the quality of the coffee. Some of the best coffee you can find in the world is in these bags. And it starts, of course, with the quality of the green coffee at production, but they are also immensely skilled at roasting. And the coffees I have on the table here are fantastic, fantastically delicious. And we're going to be enjoying, on the show today, the Finca Tamana coffee. That's the farm where I'd like to say it all began, as far as my knowledge. That's where many of the stories that Tim shared at the beginning came from, that farm, working with the farmer, Elias Roa. So the Finca Tamana is, there's actually quite a bit of information on the bag too. I'll go ahead and share that. The other one that I have, the Caragato, is from Kenya. I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to do another video on that one. The Finca Tamana is a Colombian coffee. It's from El Pital, and the farmer is Elias Roa. It's a wash processed, and this bag, this roast actually is from the May 2016 harvest. Interesting to see them put that roast on there. And it has a description of red currants, brown sugar, and herbal. I like the simple descriptions like that. It gives a nice guideline of what you can expect, and kind of takes you nicely through the experience. I mean, the aroma on this is incredibly rich and sweet, and fruity and sugary. Lots of, I want to say like raspberry cupcakes in the aroma or something like that. I've had the pleasure of having this on the AeroPress, on Chemex, and on the Kalita Wave. As you watch the show, you probably know that I brew a lot on the Kalita Wave. Tim Wendelboe is a huge fan of the AeroPress, so for the show, I'm going to be brewing this on the AeroPress, just in honor of Tim and his processes. That's what they do at the cafe in Oslo, Norway. So we're going to go ahead and prepare it on the AeroPress using Tim's method. I will show a little bit of that process now, just to give you an idea. It's very straightforward. I love that. It's very close to the method that I've always used for the AeroPress, but we're going to follow his guidelines specifically. We'll use 14 grams of coffee, 200 grams of water, brewing for a minute, and we're going to go a little bit finer. I started about 14 on the AeroPress on the Baratza Encore. If you brew on the AeroPress regularly, it's always fun to try a little bit finer, brew a little bit faster, just to see what you come up with. So I'm actually going to go to 12 on the Encore for this and see what happens. I haven't brewed this yet on the AeroPress at home, so we're gonna go ahead and do that and see what we see. Okay, so it's very simple. I've got the ground coffee. I rinsed the filter, cleared out the water, and now we're going to add the 14 grams of ground. And then once we start, one thing I didn't mention is the timer. So as soon as I start pouring, I'm going to start the timer, and we're going to press at about a minute. We're going to give it a few stirs, and then we're putting this on here just to create suction so that this will stop dripping. But now basically we're just going to wait. Okay, and now just before we plunge, going to give it a couple more stirs, and all I'm going to do is lean on it, not pressing too hard. Tim notes that If the brew is too quick, like if it's too easy to push, then you might be too coarse. If it's too difficult, then you might be too fine. I might actually have been not fine enough on that one. I actually like to stop when it starts hissing. I don't know if that's what Tim does, but that's what I do. And now we have AeroPress. Tim Wendelboe, Finca Tamana. It is a very delicious and clean cup of coffee. It's produced on the AeroPress. Very smooth. It's got a good smooth sweetness. Just an immediate comparison, because I had this this morning on the Kalita Wave. The Kalita brings out a lot more richness that just kind of coats around the tongue. Whereas with the AeroPress, it's a bit smoother. I also want to say a little more delicate, but I think it's just balancing more towards the light fruitness that is in this coffee. And as it cools, that's really what jumps out. And now some of that richness is coming back. Maybe it just needed to cool a little. Like strong, I mean that red currant, which is the descriptor on the bag, so it's gonna pop in my head, but it's quite accurate. It is red currant, and it's strong, and it's juicy, and it's sweet. One of the things that's fascinating to me about drinking coffee is how much you can tell about how the coffee is grown and handled and produced in general. There's something extra clean and distinct and flavorful about really well-produced coffee compared to more mass-produced coffee, and I have to believe it goes beyond just the roast, because I've had comparatively roasted coffees where I've known that the quality of the coffee is much better in one of them, and that one just tastes cleaner and more distinct. And that's what I get in this coffee. It's very clean and distinct, but it's still rich, especially as it cools. It has this richness coming out of it. I know this coffee is produced very well, and I'm sure that's influencing my opinions, but it's fascinating. There's no bitterness in this beyond the natural bitterness of coffee that comes mostly from the caffeine, to be honest. Caffeine does have a strong bitterness to it. But aside from that, it's like you took red currants and brown sugar, but you smoothed out. You know, it's not like you're biting into the actual red currants, but it has that brightness and juicy sweetness to a certain degree. And the same with the brown sugar. It's not like there's brown sugar in here. It's not like I'm drinking something with a bunch of brown sugar in it, but it has that smooth, rich sweetness that brown sugar does to a certain degree. And it's like that's what this is made of. And any hint of it being a roasted pit kind of, there is a little bit, but it disappears very quickly. That is a truly wonderful cup of coffee. If you ever have the chance to try some Tim Wendelboe. I know you can order it online, so I will link to that there. The shipping costs can be quite a bit if you are not located in Norway. Tim Wendelboe is based out of Oslo, Norway. I think this is the kind of coffee that many roasters around the world aspire to produce. So this has been the Finca Tamana. We will be enjoying the Carrogato in the next video. So more from Tim Wendelboe coming soon. Please do hit that like button and let me know what you think below. Subscribe. Make sure you get all the updates. Got a lot more coming out. And I do love finding coffees like this that you won't run into in your everyday life, and just sharing what the experience is like. Hopefully you've enjoyed this little peek. Thank you for watching.